Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 11 of Egginburgh, our Cities Skylines 2 Let's Play. We're having a wonderful day. We've spent 10 episodes or so in and around the town of Whisky now, and it's really coming along, and it's definitely not finished. There's some little bits and pieces, especially on the western side, that need to be addressed. Maybe with some industry when we need to do a little industrial build in the city. But today's episode, I want to turn our attention towards turning our town into a county by preparing networks to flow into a new town that we'll be working on next episode. But today we're going to develop lots of rail infrastructure and 2 different interchanges alongside some key arterial networks as well. So let's get started, shall we? So today's episode is going to be super heavy in network prep as we begin to prepare for this new town that's going to lie over here. And that I think we are going to call Inverness. I think it only makes sense that Whisky has the rival town of Bourbon, which will eventually sit on this coastline over here. But network prep always really important, right? Rather than just building a town out on its own, I want to make sure all these dual carriageway connections and the rails that are coming over here, plus the bridge over here as well, all meet up where they're supposed to. So let's have a little look at this dual carriageway system first that's been left unconnected. So this is going to flow over this system here. So let's remove this section for right now. We're actually going to carry on this little dual carriageway system as the interchange flows over it. So let's have a little check here. We want to not even further than that. Yeah, there we go. So let's keep this flowing to about there for right now. We'll worry about what happens further down this valley if we ever build out here. We are quite close to the map edge here though, so it's unlikely we'll end up down this valley. But this does extend the dual carriageway system that now flows into Whisky. So the terrains over this side are pretty gnarly, so I want to make sure we prepare them beforehand. Let's have our bridge cross over this way. That seems like it's going to be high enough, and we'll also extend this land mass out over here as well. Make a little bit of a hill for it. Then I also want to make sure that it's going to kind of arrive on the same height over here as well, so we'll also prepare that. And then just bring that up to where its natural contour line rejoins the height over here. And then lots of soften just to blend it all back in so it doesn't look too unnatural. Get some trees around here as well during our detailing today. And some fields using the farming stuff will also help as well. So that's not going to be too bad. Let's now slope up because I want to grab... Yeah, we've got a big old height to come down here. So we want to slope up from here. We want quite a wide brush for this one. And then let's go up to about here. We'll also do the same thing there as well. Dig out those slope channels. Again, a little bit of soften just to bring them back into line. There we go. Going to allow our dual carriageway to come down here a little bit. So let's first of all align the bridges, and then we'll worry about connecting it in with the existing infrastructure in a second. So how wide is this one? I believe it's like 2 meters, is it? I think. Up into existing infrastructure. That's maybe a little wider than that. Is it 3? Yeah, I think it was 2, wasn't it? Okay, so we'll go for 2 meters apart then. And let's have this start here. And again, I know I'm going to want to head roughly this direction. The new town's going to sit around this kind of like Devil Horn Bay that we've got going on. So the road I want to arrive probably down the middle. So we want to be taking a trajectory that's something like that. Maybe sort of curve it around and come back in that way. So let's work towards that eventual goal. So we can cross over there. That's not going to be too bad. It's going to give us a decent amount of height clearance there too, isn't it? And then we'll also carry on from here. And we want to come straight across at 180 degrees. Make sure we're not falling or rising by too much either. There's only a 0.2% fall in the gradient there. I do wish we had some one-way bridges that weren't massive suspension arches. Just a little 2-lane one would be great, but not to be, at least in vanilla CS2 maybe. The DLC will bring that at some point. We can also see here, so we've got a train line that comes out of the train line, rail yard, which is going to give us the ability to have some sort of train export over here, because I don't think we're going to have another harbour. So we'll export via trains. It looks like there's a good opportunity here for this train line to become cargo. So eventually it's going to end up filling all of this space. How many tiles is that? 20? We've got 54 permits. So I think we'll get all that space. Cool. So our natural resource, all the ore, is over here for when we start getting involved in some ore mining. So let's have a little play. Let's go for this slope here, just as a general rough rule. We'll start sloping it out here, okay? So I'm going to come all the way through there. and slope up. And we'll do that a couple of times on the left and the right, just to try and make it not look too unnatural. Which again, it always will when you first start doing these terraforming jobs. They always look a little more odd. But a little bit of terraforming and a detailed time-lapse, they always work out. Cool, and I definitely want my dual carriageway to flow over the rail, so we'll make sure that we prepare these 2 layers as well, and push that back through there for the time being. I'm going to grab this rail now. We also want to make sure we're looking from here as well. Hopefully this isn't going to be too steep for it. Of course, we can always amend it if it is. So we'll come in from this way. If we would just come straight the way through the valley, the 1.5 gradient increase. Let's get a little look at this down the lateral line. Yeah, that's not going to be too bad there, is it? Coming straight through that little gully. Happy with that. And then we can now have this rail arrive over here. And currently end right there. And one day this will have the cargo train terminal hooked into the end of it to export a lot of the industry that happens over here. So to also complement this dual carriageway, let's have it come across this rail line, and we'll dig out a big chunk of this land as well, just to sort of see where we're going. So let's now grab those highway roads again with our parallel road tool. Yeah, we want to elevate here. We want to come over like that, and then can we curve off, and we'll start preparing a different connection there. How are we doing for sort of slopes and gradients on this angle? Yeah, don't hate that. It's nice to create some of these layers within the rural areas as well, you know. Now there is also passenger rail over here as well, so my eventual vision is to have trains from West Whisky probably stop here, because there's going to be more population around here as we do more farming and fields once we come to just design more rural areas. So this is going to have passenger lines here, and then I think I'd also want passenger line following all the way through into Inverness over here. So this one will remain exclusively cargo, at least for the time being, okay? Because of course this does maintain outside connection, but the practice was in Cities 1 is that we keep cargo and passenger trains separate as much as we can. Helps avoid train traffic. At least that was the situation in Cities 1, but of course we don't know if that's going to be the same in Cities 2. So there's only one way to find out, I guess, right? Cool. So this is going to arrive into central Inverness. Sorry, it's going to take me a while to get used to the new town names. They will eventually come. So let's flatten this out a little bit, and then we'll go from... I imagine we'll probably have some tiers in this town eventually. So let's push all this out. And then we'll also do the same on another layer as well, just so it doesn't instantly jump back up. Probably do have some fun with the retaining wall roads in this town as well, if we start layering it up already. And then from this height here is where I want to slope to. So then let's go for a 200 meter brush, and then we'll start sloping from here. I just want this to slice through the landmass and end up about there. And again, we'll do this a couple of times on the left and the right side. Okay, maybe one more as well, just to dig out this chunk here. And little bits softened around all those harsh terrain layers that are left over. We'll just create a more natural gully for the dual carriageway to flow through. It's also going to allow us to develop some really nice layers as well. And probably another interchange with this road that comes out the port. Because I imagine this port road is going to be quite important for the industry over here. Especially considering we also have this loop that will give direct port access for any industry vehicles. So we'll see how that plays out. But either way, let's paint out this dual carriageway now to arrive into the town of Inverness. Okay, so it'll do for right now. Let's come back now and grab our 2-lane highway. And that isn't set up to be parallel. Let's also have our gradient lines on here as well, so we can try and respect the gradient a little bit. He says that having just terraformed an enormous amount of land, but it's okay. Yeah, so I'd like to have this layer sort of extend out this way a little bit. And also over this side. Again, we'll just make sure it's not as harshly terraformed here. Also push that back a little bit too. Fabulous. So now we can have this road come out here. So this is why it's so important, you know, during those episodes when we were really building out Whisky's infrastructure, we left so many little loose ends, because when you do decide to move into a county build, or even if you're not going for a county build, just having them connect into different parts of the city is so useful for future prepping. So just to make sure we're at the same height where this is going to touch down as well. And we'll have this go, I think that's about pretty much perfect, isn't it? Again, just developing another little layer now through our sort of countryside connections. Let's see this little layer come down. And there's definitely scope here as well for little slip ramps that can come up and join into this road. Definitely won't be averse to that. And then this one can go... can we do a little slope here actually? Let's have it run parallel with the industrial train line. It's going to run through this way. Let's cut through a little bit of this landmass as well. You know, don't be afraid of terraforming in CS2, especially since the base game maps are incredibly unruly with their terrain layers. You'll obviously see so many content creators at the minute making their own custom maps, and for good reason, because a lot of the base game ones are so unbuildable. So don't be afraid to, you know, shift the terrain into whatever you want it to be. Cool, and then just like the cargo train line, I can now prepare this road up here to also flow into that industrial area and just give it another means to function, and also a direct connection back into the port of Whisky as well for export and import purposes. Okay, and I guess, you know, possibly down the line as well, there's opportunity here for a little roundabout. Is there anything resources over here? Okay, yeah, so there's a massive chunk of fertile land this way, so that seems like a sensible spot to just remind myself of that. And let's say we'll have another little highway ramp here that eventually leads into some fertile land builds, a little farmyard down here perhaps. And then whilst we're there, it also makes sense to extend this out, and I imagine this will probably serve as a back road into the town of Bourbon, which will be over here. Which again will also have another arterial road that flows out of Whisky to come across the Firth, which has now been named. Now we've got Whisky Firth. But yeah, I believe because it is connected to the sea, I guess it's not technically a lock, so it has to be a Firth, but it's fine. We have mapped that out. So we'll have the Firth of Whisky Bridge, I guess. And then this will cross over into Bourbon. That arterial will continue into Inverness and then into this space as well. So massively helpful with preparing these future connections. And then it looks like this one just wants a little bit of soften as well. Blend it back into that natural terrain. Some rocks would be tremendously helpful here, just for a bit of detail, you know, some larger rocks. There we go. And then we can do some sloping here, I guess, while we're talking about it. Let's have our slip ramp come up this way. And we'll do it a few sides left and right and a little bit of soften where required. And then we'll see if we can just grab a little single one lane number here, just to come straight up and out. And then we'll get that nice smooth. And we'll get that nice smooth curve back into the road over here. Interesting actually to see if anyone even takes that. To help encourage the use of this dual carriageway though, I would like now to return to the initial interchange. So people heading into Whisky have an alternative route in. Goodness gracious me, there's a lot of ambulances in Whisky, isn't there? Is everyone alright? Is this a death wave? Is this what we're experiencing? We've got the availability. Everyone should be okay. Are you boys alright? You only got 3 hearses in use. Is this a budgeting problem maybe? Are we underfunding? We might be. Let's bump that back to 100%. Yeah, I guess Whisky just had a bit of a death wave. There was a lot of ambulances then, but it seems okay now at least. Anyway, yes, back to my original point before we get distracted by the dead of Whisky. Let's hit a parallel road 2 again, and then I just want this to weave up this hill. We'll hit a road guideline as well at some point as we hopefully come take that road guideline and bring that in. Super. So I'm really interested to see, because I haven't actually tested this interchange before, so I don't know exactly how the AI is going to behave with taking this alternative route into the town. So let's find a spot along the road where we can come in. Something like that. And then we'll do simple curve right up into there. There we go, that's what we want. Go, yeah, so they have that space to merge in, and any weird terrain that generates around it, just straighten it back out, or soften it back out. Yeah, and then they can carry on it, and then it goes back to being dual carriageway, not motorway there. I'm happy with that. We can repeat that exact same connection for the slip road heading back into Whisky. So we'll slope up from this side into there. A little bit of soften against that unnatural terrain boundary. And then we'll bring this back down as well. I often find, you know, kind of building custom fit interchanges is a much better solution rather than using one of the preset ones, because you can just get so much more customizability with them as well. Different shapes and sizes, and there's nothing wrong with sticking one of those pre-made in sections down and then amending it, but I always find a lot more satisfaction from building my own. Same thing here again as well, just some quick lane maths as we come in to help people merge in. Did he just do a U-turn to get back on that? Better buddy not have done. Okay, so you're going to the outside connection, that's okay. He's actually going to a place in Whisky, which is good. Just observe this junction for a second here, just see how many that coming down this national road now choose to take the dual carriageway into Whisky rather than going via the port. Quite a lot of them, it would seem, actually. Okay, it's interesting to see, isn't it? I think I'd definitely like to also perhaps just break some of these connections here. It would let me delete the bridge, there we go. Just to have a bit more bridge, I think. So let's come down to this size here. So let's bring up a bit of elevation to the smallest incline we can. 0.4% gradient should be okay. And we get those little fillers in, and then we can put that back over there. There we go. It gives a bit more flexibility over here. We could also do the same thing over here as well, I guess, if we wanted to, but we'll see what happens with what we want to do. So let's also now provide the directionality to travel to Inverness coming out of Whisky Port if you're not taking the industrial port road. And again, I can sort of see what I want to happen here. So let's maybe also introduce a slope this way. And I imagine we'll have a little bit of fun here with essentially kind of like a half clover. So let's also turn on zone in silent as well. And we'll do 56 meters. Get a guideline here as well if we can. Do that one coming back in like that. And then we'll grab a 2-lane highway. We'll do just existing geometry snapping. Then we'll do 24 by 24. We'll let this one come down, and then we want to split those lanes again. So from this side we'll have a lane come out here. This will feed back into the dual carriageway in that sort of fashion, so obviously reverse our direction so everyone's happy. And then off the opposite lane here, we'll also have this one come under the bridge like we prepared earlier. And then we'll keep this one going on a straight angle back into the road of the original. And then we'll also bring this looping bridge back over here, and then we also want to find a way to bring both of these connections in. Let's go for this one here, and obviously change its direction. And then can we bring you into the same connection off at the same node? Or do you want to come a little bit further down? I think a bit further down is okay. I'll have that there. We'll also have some quick exit lane maths here as well. For that first one. Cool. That's going to go down and sleep into that. Fantastic. I'm almost tempted actually to just give this slip road here just a little bit more of a runoff. And then maybe we'll connect in about there, I think. We downgrade that section into 2-lane. And then we'll have a touch more 3-lane up this way. There we go. So the only direction we're missing now is coming into Egginburgh. And then having the connection to loop over this side. So I guess we could just bring it over that, which will essentially turn into a stack interchange, wouldn't it? Is that a connection we need to prioritize? It probably is a connection that's needed, isn't it? So we probably should set it up. Interesting to see this getting so much use already though, isn't it? Of course, no one's going to come from this direction quite yet, but The other directions are already getting use. We're not clogging at any point down here either, are we? Everyone's okay. I'm hoping that this road here, the Olive Highway, starts to get a little bit more use now. I imagine we could also encourage the use of the primary dual carriageway system by slowing these roads down. Which we might do that. We'll see how traffic behaves as the town begins to expand. But either way, let's also get this final loop in over here now as well. Cool, so that's going to give us full four-way directionality with the dual carriageways meeting now as we come onto the very edge of Whisky. And it should hold up for a pretty high volume of traffic because there's many slip lanes here leading different directions. Good to see it getting use already as well, isn't it? And then we'll just sort of see how far it comes in. So we got some trees around this in our detailing and just make sure all the terrain is happy and moving through this way as well. There's also this little lane to bring in as well that we brought out of the port as well, didn't we? We'll keep this one going. Imagine one day there'll be something down here, if not maybe another town in these foothills perhaps. So that can just be another connection for that one there. Make sure we don't forget about this road. Let's also get a decent amount of trees around this as well because I want this to be a pretty kind of rural forested interchange, so we'll get lots of oaks in the curves here. So this sort of stuff. And we'll do some spruce as well. A little bit of wild green bush number 2, which I'm sure is the Latin name for that particular plant. And we'll also do poplars as well. Got some real nice layers developing with the road network through this interchange now, haven't we? Also wouldn't be averse to a couple of little wind turbines around here as well, maybe. What are we like for power production at the minute? Really okay for power production actually, but you know, it's always nice to export a bit more, isn't it? And we can get 5 megawatts producing here as well. I'd also like to upgrade these roads with lighting as well, I think. Pretty much every single one of them. Especially around the interchange itself as well. And just before we break for detailing time lapse, we have hit Huge City, the 13th milestone now, which is great. And give us another 3.6 million. The game just absolutely throws money at you. But either way, I'm going to finish off some ramps where appropriate for different connections, bring in some forest, and probably add a few more fields as well, and just finish off some corners here that look like they want to be polished off. And then decorate our national connections, and then next episode we can get ready for at the start of a brand new town over in the city of Inverness. Otherwise, let's detail our networks, and we'll be right back.
just need one night where it just feels right. The stars all aligned. I just need one night. I just need one night where it just feels right. The stars all aligned. We do what we like. I just need one night where it just feels right. The stars all aligned. I just need one night. I just need. I just need.
So last episode I asked you guys for some names for our outside connections, and there's been a whole bunch of suggestions, so thank you for everyone that submitted a name. But our first one, and Egginburgh's most eastern connection, now connects to Lewis's city of Edna. Wonderful. Also change it coming from Edna as well. Now he did say I could change it to Egna, which is hilarious of course, but we'll go for Edna. Right. So Edna is a port town which later boomed with a software tech industry. It's now the centre for education and tech innovation, think Silicon Valley. Thank you for your suggestion, Lewis. I hope you enjoy having your city as one of Egginburgh's outside connections on the eastern point. And Tiago also suggested that we have one as Yorkshire, which is very perfect. Thank you for that, Tiago. Appreciate you, buddy. And then on a slightly more somber note, what's left of Tom actually lost his cat recently, which is very sad. So in honour of Mr. Wolf, which was Tom's cat, we're going to go for Wolftown, which is off of Egginburgh's most northern connection. Sorry to hear about your cat, buddy, but thank you for your suggestion anyway. And finally, Jake Potter gave us the name Hedimienta. Am I pronouncing that right? I believe it's a Spanish word. But we'll have that for Egginburgh's most western outside connection. Thank you for your suggestion, Jake. Really appreciate it, buddy. Indeed, everyone that submitted names for Egginburgh's outside connections. Appreciate you all. Okay, guys, so let's have a detailing review, shall we? So we've really transformed. Oh, we just come out of winter? Oh, thank God for that. That was literally a 3-month detailing time lapse. We actually came all the way out the other side of winter in that. Goodness gracious. But yes, either way, we now have turned Egginburgh from a single town of Whisky into a county with all of our network connections over here ready for new towns to come in. At least 2 new towns prepared over here. So we'll follow the train line out of Whisky, which now comes over the national road, of course, which connects back into the national connection down there. This is the road I eventually suggested will probably be upgraded to a dual carriageway once it gets busy enough to justify that infrastructure upgrade. But again, we're a long way from that. So we'll come down over here. We've added in some more livestock fields, a couple of more wind turbines as well, just because they looked really nice up here against the interchange. And we've also got a little bit of industry, which is the perfect little industrial shed just to help service these wind turbines. So that's a really nice bit of asset selection. Shame we can't historicalise it just yet, but we will do one day. Over here, did drop in a telecom tower, which I realise is a little bit redundant out here because there's no one to use it. But it's mainly just for the kind of aesthetic choice. I thought the visual of an antenna by the interchange looked really nice. You'll also notice this rail now comes all the way down here as well, swoops down the landmass again. It's going to stop around here at some point, then comes in between the roads on the interchange and runs right through the middle. We've had to remove this one coming over the top and actually change it onto this loop down here, just because to accommodate the rail it was getting too tall with the stacks, so ended up just removing it down and turning it into a loop over here instead. But getting some really nice use on this already. And then further down here we've got lots of fresh lane maths as all the lanes merge back in and split off with one another as you go to various different directions. And then also hooked in just a temporary roundabout and hooked in that port road that comes out here. Not entirely sure what we're doing with this end of the map yet. I haven't really considered it or thought about it. There is more ore over here, so it's likely it'll become industrial at some point. But either way, really nice view down across the interchange now, and I really enjoyed how it turned out, especially there's actually someone even using that port road too, which is nice. Wonderful news. Yeah, and then big connections coming right across the bridge. Another loop down here as well. And then everyone peels off and goes off there to be nice and happy. Coming across the bridge into the new territory, we have lots of nice layers going on over here, with the train peeling off away from the road network at this point to join back with the landmass before it tunnels under the other interchange to eventually link back in with Inverness. I have just drawn in some keys here, which you would have seen in the detailing time lapse, just played amazingly well. There was no problems with them at all. Again, I always recommend terraforming at that little lip just beneath the water. It makes it a lot easier for me. I know I see a lot of comments asking how to do this, and again, the way we did it in my initial road tools tutorial still works the best way for me. Terraform underneath the water, and then they just draw in perfectly smooth. We're not going to do too much with this. I'm just sort of testing out some ideas of the layering that we can get involved with next episode, so don't take too much notice of this frames here. We'll do a road network frame episode when we come in to set up the town of Inverness. Did just mess about with some initial connections coming into the road as well, using all the different lane math stuff and slip lanes coming off here, and also prepared that eventual arterial that will flow back into Bourbon over there. And then we'll also have this arterial road, I imagine, link up with another highway interchange at some point in the future as Inverness grows out along this river. So that'll be something to look forward to. And then of course the northern part of Inverness will become extremely industrial with all those strip mines coming in, where we've got that road and rail connection, of course, to help service that as well. Over this interchange, this one turned out really nicely. Little bits of terrain in between the roads kind of act as like a crash safety barrier, so happy to leave those in. We got kind of some features borrowed from a windmill turbine as the roads kind of loop under and over one another as they allow different connections to come in. And again, lots of fresh lane maths as this interchange comes into play. And this is where a lot of the fun at the minute lies in CS2 for me. It's just, love these road tools. They're so fun to configure. I'm sure maybe I'm not the best at it, you know, there's other incredible road builders out there like Imperator and Sanctum Gamer who are just so good with these things, but it's a real pleasure, just so much smoother in most cases to build roads and interchanges now in CS2. So I really enjoyed piecing this together. There has been a few road maintenance vehicles actually coming across the port bridge, but what this really does is open up a direct connection to NVIDIA's industry and also metropolitan area now with the port of Whisky, which is really important. Plus with cargo and passenger rail also supporting those connections too. And when we do come to build the town of Bourbon, on the other side of Whisky, the other side of the Whisky Firth anyway, we will have a big bridge over here and lots more arterial fun. I think it'd be quite fun because we've gone relatively kind of European inspired with Whisky. I think, you know, the opposite rival town of Bourbon, I think will probably take quite a lot of American inspiration for that, so that should be a nice little theme to develop within the cities themselves. But otherwise guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it and managed to pick up some tips about how we can turn our builds from single little towns or cities into a wider kind of county perspective. It's always a lot more fun for me. We're kind of still building in this style in our Cities 1 build this year, so if you haven't seen our Australian inspired build, we're very much kind of playing with this theme with networks and rails and national roads taking people everywhere. It's a really different way to play Cities Skylines, I think, rather than trying to focus on making kind of enormous metropolitan areas like New York or Phoenix or something like that. Whereas those builds definitely can be fun. I'd much prefer this playstyle playing with a county over than a kind of individual singular city, if you like. Massive shout out to all the patrons supporting the channel, of course, with a special roll call to Felix Wilkinson. Really appreciate all the support you guys drop on the channel. And if you would like to help support, there are links down to Patreon and Instant Gaming below. So do check them out if you're enjoying the videos. Next episode, we're going to get stuck into the town of Inverness and move on from Whisky for a few episodes. We've been in Whisky for 10 episodes, so I imagine we'll probably spend 10 or so episodes in Inverness before we move on to Bourbon as well. But lots of fun coming up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, I'll shut up and leave it there. Please do enjoy today's cinematics. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.